Hi everybody, and welcome to Fred's Healthy Cooking Kitchen. Today we're going to be doing eggplants. Now, okay, my weight is down to 374. I'd like to thank Antonio Benjerico, also known as Tose, for his guidance and everything on losing weight and staying fit. I'd like to thank the people at Cardiology Associates in Delaware. They are my cardiologists, and they are very happy with my progress, and as well as Judy Galikowski and the group at Penn Medicine up here in West Grove, Pennsylvania. They've been treating me very well, and they have been very happy with my progress. They also like what I'm doing with these videos, so I hope you can sit back and enjoy, and let's get cooking. Plant, a member of the nightshade family, is an edible plant. It has some nutrients in it, not very much, but it's a good meat substitute. Anyway, as with all vegetables and fruits, you need to wash it before you start doing anything to it. So, especially in these days with the COVID virus, it's best to make sure it's nice and clean. We're going to run it under a tap of cold water and scrub the outside. The eggplant, we have our cutting board, and we just have to get the right type of knife to cut it. And we're going to get a peeler so we can peel the skin off the outside, because sometimes that's a little bit hard to digest for some people. So, be back in a moment. See, I cut the top and the bottom off to get it nice and flat, and I started peeling it with a potato peeler. That should do the job well. It takes a little bit of getting used to because this fruit's a little bit slippery. Okay, so we have our eggplant peeled. It's not a very pretty sight. It oxidizes rather quickly. And now we're going to slice it for our two different ways of making it. The first one's going to be stewed eggplant. The next one's going to be with some yellow and green squash and onions. And we're going to make a ratatouille. It's not the mouse from the Disney film, but it's a little dish that they make in France. So we're going to use different spices. For the stewed eggplant, we're going to use garlic and onion powder. And for the ratatouille, we're going to use garlic and a little bit of thyme and a little bit of, we won't need the onion powder because the onion will be with the stack that we're going to build. Be back. Cut your eggplant about 1/4 of an inch thick, so that it'll be able to cook nice and easy and quickly. Our sauce for the stewed eggplant is going to be consisting of crushed tomatoes, which you can get at the grocery store in a can. Get it as no salt added. People, salt is bad for you. It helps you retain fluids. I have a friend of mine who's also on a diet, and he had some pretzels, and the next day his belt was a little bit snugger because he was retaining fluids from the sodium. So please, be careful with what you eat. See, we're using crushed tomatoes. No salt added. It's very important. Stewed eggplant, you're going to use a little container like this. Or a bigger one if you're going to make it for a lot of people. But you're going to place your eggplant in there, and then you're going to cover it up with your crushed tomatoes and some spices that we're going to add to it, and I'll show you that in just a moment. So we have a mixing bowl out. We're going to pour our crushed tomatoes in there. I washed the can off because there was dust on top, and you never know who was touching it before you got there. So anyway, that's the tomatoes, and I'm going to take 1/4 teaspoon each of garlic, onion, Italian seasonings, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper. Okay, so we went ahead and we added all of our spices to the mix. Now we're just going to incorporate them into the tomatoes, the crushed tomatoes, which it looks kind of more like tomato sauce than crushed tomatoes. But I expected to have a little bit more body than this, but that's okay. Makes it easier for our next one, which is the ratatouille. So you're going to go ahead and stir this all up, incorporate it nicely, and then you're going to pour it in over your eggplant that's in here, in their little cooking container. So here we go. And we're going to spread it out a little bit with our spoon. Cover all the eggplant as best as you can. Okay, we're going to set the oven at 350 degrees. And then we're going to cover this guy with aluminum foil. And we're going to put him in there and let him cook and steam for 45 minutes. And that should be giving you a nice stew covered with aluminum foil and ready to go into the oven. In the meantime, let's get ready for our ratatouille. Again, you're going to want to wash your vegetables off before you start working with them. And we already have our onion peeled over here. So let's get these guys cleaned up, and we'll cut off the top and the bottom just to make sure they're nice and flat and not to have any contaminants in there or stems or whatever. So I will go ahead and start chopping. So anyway, here we go, folks. We already cut up our eggplant and our zucchinis, and we layered them. A layer of eggplant, followed by yellow squash, green squash, onion, then again eggplant, yellow squash, green squash, and onion. We should top it off with another piece of eggplant, but the container's a little bit too small, so we're going to leave it go at this. Now we're going to go ahead and create our sauce. But we had knives here. The knives that we used were the thin one to slice up the eggplant, nice and thin in 1/4-inch pieces. Then I used the cleaver to take care of the zucchini squashes. And they're all chopped up, as you can see. And then I used it for the onion too, which was a little bit more difficult. I should have used a regular standard kitchen cutting knife. Here we are again with the layering technique. You put a piece of eggplant down, some yellow squash, a little bit of onion, green squash, a little bit of onion, and more eggplant. Now we're going to go ahead and make our sauce. We're going to use a blender to take the crushed tomatoes. We're going to use the rest of our onion in that, and we're going to add some spices to that. And we're going to use garlic, thyme, and some black pepper. All right, so we have all of our spices put together. It's a little bit of garlic powder, a tiny bit of onion powder, and some thyme, about a pinch. You put it into the blender along with your crushed tomatoes. Be sure to put the lid on. I did that once when I was a child, and I was making pancakes, and the batter went on the ceiling. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video as I turn on the blender. We have the blender working very hard. It's going to incorporate our stuff into a nice sauce. We covered our little mounds, our little stacks, with our new sauce that we made. And we're going to go ahead and pop that in the oven also for 45 minutes. Actually, probably about 35 minutes, along with the zucchini, so that we can, the eggplant, stewed eggplant, so that we can go ahead and pull them all both out at the same time, and then we can see. Okay, people, here we go. We have stewed eggplant and ratatouille. We'll get the lid off of that, and we'll put some on our plate, and we'll see how it is. Very, very hot. Just came out of the oven. Actually, folks, you're going to have to cook these for about an hour. It's a long process, but if I can get them out properly, well worth it. So we have that one, and we have some stewed eggplant here. And we'll put that on our plate with a little bit of homemade low salt, no sugar, no carb chicken with peppers and onions. It's also known as chicken cacciatore. All right, folks, truth's in the testing. We'll try that as soon as it cools down a little bit. Here we go, a little bit of the stewed eggplant. Let's see how this turned out. Oh, that's zucchini. And here we go. A bit of eggplant. Okay, folks, here we go. A little bit of eggplant. I'll let you know how it is. Okay, folks, the proof was in the pudding. It was pretty good. So, as I said before, remember, life's a journey, not a destination. Enjoy your eggplant, either way you can cook it, and may God bless you all.